Honorable Rector, Your Excellencies, esteemed colleagues, ladies and gentlemen, dear students. Professor Brainard Guy Peters is the most eminent public administration scholar of our time. As an expert of American government, a leading comparativist, a much-read interpreter and creator of administrative paradigms, and a prolific author of profound research and engaging prose, Guy Peters played a particularly important role in the development and application of new institutionalism in political science. He similarly plays an important role in the ongoing conceptualization of governance and its application in the analysis of policymaking. Several of his contributions to the literature can be characterized as a call for a return to the fundamentals of political science as a discipline. This is most obvious with respect to new institutionalism and governance. A large part of his work has focused here on the proliferation of contending theories and paradigms and on the search for the essence, the fundamentals of each of these two approaches for the study of policymaking. In the case of new institutionalism, it is the notion that institutions matter. In the case of governance, the claim that governance is ultimately about governing by steering society towards the attainment of some collective goals. In both cases, the answers seem straightforward. After all, institutionalism, whether old or new, would be meaningless in case institutions didn't matter. And governance would be an empty concept in case no governing was involved. But Guy Peters' unique approach has been to go back to the essence in which institutions matter and to the essence of what governing means. In the case of institutions, it is about the fact that despite decisions being taken by individuals, either individually or collectively, with their own interests, values, and aspirations, it is through the range of institutions' values, rules, and incentives that we have to look at policy choices and at political decisions, particularly as individuals make their choices partly on the basis of their interpretation of what the rules and values of the institutions are within which they operate. In the case of governance, it is about the fact that governance is in essence about the capacity to steer the economy or efforts to steer the economy and society, and thus about the means to decide upon collective goals and the means to reaching these goals. Dismissing the state as an important player in governance, as has been fashionable in some strands of the governance literature, and neglecting, therefore, that hierarchy matters is, as Guy Peters once wrote, unsupportable. Guy Peters' contribution has not only been that he has pointed at these fundamental characteristics of policymaking, but also that he dealt with the consequences of these fundamentals for the study of politics. How does this play out in the agent-structure dichotomy, in the setting and mediating among conflicting goals, in the relationship among efficiency, transparency, and democracy, in the solution of coordination challenges with respect to weak problems, a topic to which Guy Peters specifically dedicated attention. On top of that, he dealt with many of these questions empirically in the many comparative projects that he initiated, with the result of several edited volumes characterized by outstanding comparative research conducted by leading scholars in the fields. Moreover, through his conceptual and empirical work, he also acted as a real intellectual bridge between American and European scholars. As such, Guy Peters' publications have generated thousands of citations, seen as they rightly are as landmarks in the development of public administration and political science more general. It is not a coincidence that apart from Guy Peters' contribution to conceptualization and theorizing in political science, he is well known for his academic textbooks. Generations of political science and public administration students have set their first steps in these fields with Peters' textbooks. Guy Peters knows the art of writing on complex issues in a concise and clarifying way. For that reason, many of his textbooks have been translated in several languages. His attention for these textbooks is indicative of his wider interest for the teaching and training of students and young researchers. Moreover, through his frequent presence at leading PhD summer schools all over the world, he has contributed to the nurturing of the next generation of public administration and political science scholars. Guy Peters' expertise is also recognized beyond academia. He is regularly consulted by governments and international organizations in their reform efforts. As such, he served as consultant to the United Nations Development Programme, the World Bank, the European Commission, UNICEF, the OECD, and for governments and agencies in Finland, Canada, Japan, Taiwan, Hong Kong, Uruguay, and Trinidad. Because of its outstanding theoretical and empirical, particularly comparative work, because for his attention to, but specifically also dedication to young generations, new generations of scholars and students, and because of his efforts to translate academic work in governance advice, Guy Peters can be considered as a complete academic, as a complete political scientist. Om al deze redenen, meneer de rector, verzoeken wij u op voordracht van de Academische Raad het eredoctoraat van de KU Leuven te verlenen aan professor Brainard Guy Peters.